it's your girl, Jocelyn Knows Sports, because I do, and I am here exclusively with my good friend, Jasmine.
Hi.
So, Jasmine, I know how amazing you are. I know how legendary you are on the field, but can you let the viewers know a little bit about yourself? Your name, where you're from, what positions do you play?
My name is Jasmine Dunn. I am from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I play receiver and cornerback, safety, really any position you need me
I
at.
know that's right.
I'm there when it comes down to it. So, yes, I've been playing sports my whole life. I did gymnastics for 8 years, and then in high school, I transitioned into track.
Okay,
And then,
that's why you're so fast.
Exactly. And so it wasn't until the summer of my senior year where our school came out with flag football, and I tried out, and then I realized I had a real passion for it and I had a talent for it. So I decided to just take it as far as I can go with it. So
okay, I love that. You kind of went into my second question, which I love, and I just want you to kind of expand upon it a little bit more. I noticed a lot in the space with a lot of the young women who are as successful as they have been in the sport. They're dual sport athletes. Like you could have done track, you could have done this, you could have done that.
Yeah.
What was it that let you know, like, this is going to be my career? I'm going to go to college doing this, and I think I'll be pro playing this pretty soon, because if y'all haven't been watching, they just made a pro league yesterday, right?
Yes, they did. So excited. So growing up, my family is a big football family.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't born in Alabama. I was actually born in Berkeley, California.
Okay.
But I was raised in Alabama, and so my family are big football fans, and so I grew up watching the sport of tackle football. I've always wanted to try flag football. Like when it started out, it was like powder puff, you know.
Okay.
So I just grew a big interest for it, and so when I first started playing, I had like a natural talent, natural ability. I feel like because I understood the game quicker and had the IQ for it and developed it faster. And that was just off playing like a couple months of flag football. And so it wasn't until like winter of my senior year where it was like I was making a huge decision whether I should pursue track in college or flag in college. And I feel like it was almost like a sign from God, because I had actually gotten injured. I had injured my foot. And so I was like, let me just reach out to these flag colleges and see if they're willing to offer me. You know, I had a lot of accolades, I had awards, so I was like, it's worth a shot. And so I took that shot, and then I got offered to Ottawa University before I came to Alabama State. So I was like, oh yeah, I think I can take this far if I really put my mind to it. And plus, I kind of want to set an example for other athletes that you don't have to play football from when you're like 2 years old, 3 years old, up until now. Like, if you put your mind to it, you can start at any age and have a long-lasting career with it.
I agree. You hear that, kids? It's not how you start.
It's how you finish.
Let them know. So I'm glad you said that. You kind of hit into something else I want to talk about, because obviously I did my research on you a little bit. I've been following you for a while. Why leave Ottawa University and come to Alabama State? What was it about Alabama State that drew you into their flag football program?
So, of course, as you know, Ottawa University has an amazing flag football program. They've won 5 national titles, and I'm blessed to be able to be a part of one of them last year.
Right.
And so, yes. And though I love the program and I miss my teammates, I just was not happy there. Like, I felt isolated. I'm not sure if it was the area or just the atmosphere. I think maybe because it was in Kansas and I'm not used to the
She ain't
Midwest.
Dorothy. She ain't Dorothy.
And I'm definitely South girl. Definitely South girl. And we realized that last year. And so I knew I wanted to go home. And I always wanted to attend an HBCU, because when I was running track, I had reached out to so many HBCUs, and one of them was Alabama State.
Okay.
And so I reached out to Alabama State. I was already contemplating whether or not I should transfer back home, but Alabama State hadn't came out with the flag program yet, up until I was really contemplating whether I should transfer or not, if that makes sense. And so I took it as a sign from God again. I was like, okay, God is definitely...
He don't make no mistakes.
He don't make no mistakes. I And I thought it was really ironic because, again, I wanted to come for track and now I'm here for flag. So it was like God fulfilled his promises, but under different circumstances.
You right. That's how it is.
Yeah, I knew it was the right choice to make. And the coach reached back to me like really quick. So I was like, okay, I can definitely pull this off. And I didn't make that decision until like May after nationals. So it was really last minute.
You was playing a little bit of devil's advocate right there.
I was. It was like I hadn't turned in my application or nothing. And one other thing was the application closed right when I decided to, actually it was the last day before it closed, after I decided I wanted to transfer. So it was like, wow, God really...
He was looking out for you. It was a path that you needed to take.
Yeah, it was like everything kind of led me to Alabama State. And yeah.
Okay, well, I love that. One, I'm a person of faith. You'll be amazed sometimes the route that you have designed for yourself, and sometimes he'll pull you back because that's not the route he designed for you. So
exactly.
I love that you're a witness of that. So that kind of leads into something else. Like, I'm a Bama girl, you know, Jazz a Bama girl.
Yes, Bama girls rise.
You know it.
Yes.
So how has going to an in-state college benefited you? Whether it's your mental health, being with family, preparation, holidays, different things that people don't understand that student athletes have to sacrifice.
I definitely take a lot of pride being back in Alabama and playing the sport that I'm so passionate about. It literally makes me feel like a hometown hero.
That's right.
It's like being a trailblazer, you know, flag's new. And really, I just want to broadcast the sport of flag through Alabama because it's not as commonly known as it is in the West or in Florida. To be an advocate for the sport in Alabama because there's so many great athletes down here and all they need is a platform, and I feel as if it's my job to, you know, give them that platform, and by doing that it's just to make Alabama known for flag as well. Like when people think of Alabama, they think, oh yeah, they got some athletes down there that can play.
They do.
Because they do.
Because they do.
Yeah, so
I can see that, and I also look at it as though like that's the beauty of an emerging sport. That's the beauty of something being new. I take pride that Alabama State was the first D1 school to be in flag football. Right now, you know, you have so many other schools doing it, but you know, to be the first of the first.
The first D1 HBCU at that.
Yeah.
To be able to come out with the program, I feel like that's also a sign. It's like out of all the states, you would think maybe Las Vegas.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was a mistake. I saw it on like one of the news outlets. I was like, "Hey,
is this a joke?
Is this Arizona State?
Arizona State? Yes, because it's like you don't think of Alabama as having a flag because it's not as emerging as the rest of the states are.
Especially a year ago, I think people nowadays, and we'll get more into that, but like I think people now are so enamored in how big it is right now, not realizing how revolutionary it was a year ago because everybody wasn't watching it. It wasn't, Tom Brady wasn't putting money into the sport, and it wasn't on television, and it wasn't at the Olympics, it wasn't at the Super Bowl. So it's just to see it grow is like crazy in general.
Yes.
So kind of want to get back into her talent. You know, I love that she advocacy and all these things, but she an athlete first. Athlete first.
Yes.
So I was once on a podcast and I compared you to Devontae Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Because she got the speed, she knows how to run routes. If you had to nail your talents down to a NFL football player, who would you compare yourself to?
First of all, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Because I take so much pride in my skills and just technicality overall as an athlete playing flag. If I had to compare myself to an NFL player, I think it would probably be Deebo Samuel.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I just off his mentality alone, I feel like just because of that, he could probably play both sides of the ball if he really wanted to. I feel like if it came down to it, he could. And he's just an overall athlete. And I'd like to think, well, I know that if it came down to it, you want to put me on defense, you want to put me on offense, I can get that job done because I'm here to win. That's the main goal. Like, I'm here to do my job, here to do my 1-7, and I'm gonna do it by all means.
I like the Debo Samuel comparison. One, I call him like a Swiss Army knife. Y'all all know I got Army ties. When you had a Swiss Army knife, it could do anything.
Yes,
you could cut food, you could cut rocks, you could cut whatever, and I could see that. I thought, honestly, though, she was going to use this comparison because I was at I think the home opener. And you know, Jazz kind of small. People going to think she's small. I see her bulldoze through 3 people. I said they better get their weight up playing with Jazz.
Yes, get in that weight room.
So that's why I thought you was going to say Debo because you got that Debo on them. But, you know, same.
Yes.
So my next question to you is, we kind of talked about how the emerging sport of flag football has gotten so big. And right now they're talking about NILs, they're talking about championship trophies, they're talking about, I mean, I'm being honest, I'm sure there's going to be a transfer portal like scandal in the next 2 years or something like that.
So we better, if you try to chance it, you gotta go ahead.
You better go ahead and do it.
Go ahead.
So what are you most excited about? You know, it is doing a lot for future athletes in flag, but it's also doing a lot for you and your teammates. You're going to be the people that benefit from this professional league. You're going to be the people that benefit from the championships. Whereas like most of the young ladies coming in, they'll get their scholarships. They'll get the NIL. But you know, you're second year of college?
Yeah,
you're more going to be in that professional setting versus the college. So how do you feel with the emerging of the sport and how it can benefit you and your teammates?
I feel like it's definitely, what's exciting alone is the fact that it's going to be an Olympic sport in 2028.
That's right. You heard.
Yes. 2028. Yes.
We outside.
We outside. And I'm happy that it's finally getting that recognition because, you know, typically it's in the World Games, they go to other tournaments, but now it's really getting recognized as an Olympic sport. And so that's exciting in itself. But I also think the pro teams that are coming out and how many girls are going to be able to benefit and perhaps get paid off playing the sport. And so even next, I think it's fall 2026, it's finally going to become an NCAA sport.
Where you can get your championship trophies. And for y'all who don't know, some of the games aren't being statistically based for these young ladies. So starting in 2026, they'll be able to get their actual stats.
And so we finally, I feel like within that, we'll get more respect because it is a sport. We get all the benefits such as scholarships, you know, we may have accessibility to other things because it's going to be under the NCAA. And so I think that that's exciting as well. So yeah.
I agree. So speaking of dual sports and this side of the ball, that side of the ball, obviously I've noticed and paid attention to your offensive capabilities as well as your defensive capabilities. If you had to pick, and I know that's hard, first of all, let me explain to people how conditioned flag football players are. They're playing the entire game, offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball. Sometimes it's a tri-match. When I say tri-match, it's 3 different games in one day. So if you think these athletes aren't top tier, you know, just conditioned, you need to Google.
Google, because most of the time, flag athletes, they play both sides. That's the normal. Like, that's the norm. You just play both sides. But if I had to pick a side, I would have to say offense.
I can see that.
I would have to say offense. Probably because I play there majority of the time, and I think there's way more to offense than just catching the ball and getting it into the end zone. You know, I love the art of route running. I love, you know, finding out different ways that I can get open in different coverages because I feel like, well, I know routes aren't the same in cover 3 as it is in cover 2. You know, you run them differently if you're trying to get open. And so learning the ins and outs of offense, you know, I truly love and I like to take my time learning. I get a lot, though, that people think I'm more of a defensive player, which, you know, I love that too. I love defense. And Versatility, yes. And most of my family cousins, they are DBs and they play in the NFL and they play in college. And so I feel like maybe I had a natural talent, natural ability for defense. So it was definitely an adjustment because I thought that I was going to be a defensive player. because everywhere that I went, like even at Ottawa, I started off on offense and then they put me at rusher. And I was a rusher in high school and a receiver, but I think I had gotten recruited for rusher. So, anytime I would try to get back on offense, they put me on defense. I'm like, oh no. So I took that summer and I was like, okay, let me really work on my skills because I know what I want to do and I know what I can do. And so, yeah.
It paid off for you.
It paid off.
I would personally put you on the offensive side of the ball over the defensive side just because your skill set, right? Yeah. Don't get me wrong, defensive players, don't cancel me. I'm part of cancel culture. You do have to have, tactics for defensive side of the ball, but just the route running abilities alone.
Yes.
Like it's more than just having speed. You know that.
Yes.
So I'm like, I think your IQ of what you're supposed to do once you're on the offensive side of the ball makes me look at it differently.
And it helps because as someone who does play offense and defense, I know what a defensive mind thinks and I know what the offensive mind thinks. So it benefits me on both sides because I'm like, okay, she, so close to the center, she's definitely going to stem out. She probably going to run it out or something.
Yeah. You can read the play.
And things like that. Yeah, you can read the play. And on both sides, like you see cover two, like, it's an advantage on both sides.
I can see that. So I'm going to get into I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but I know from watching your career, from knowing you personally, I know the season hasn't gone the way that you quite would want it to go.
Yeah, for sure.
What is your mentality to kind of build on these last 2 games before the official season is over?
I'm not used to losing.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not used to it. So, but it doesn't discourage me. Anytime that we lose, it actually makes me more motivated to work harder and to try and see what I could face as an individual and how I can add to the team so we can win and turn it around before the season ends. My mindset coming into these last couple of games is just to dominate, to do my job, to be a playmaker, do my 1-7 like I said, and everything will work out how it should. I definitely feel like everything happens for a reason. My coach had actually mentioned this yesterday. To win is to go through loss. And the greater the loss, the greater the win. Yeah. So I agree. This makes me sad because I feel like we played games that I know we had the ability to win. I think it's more so of just us coming together and executing as a team rather than as individuals, which is why I said, how I can help better the team. I feel like I may have the skill, but maybe I need something else so we can be the glue, have someone be the glue for the team. And so that's kind of what I would want to do for my team.
I can see that. And shout out to Coach Poole. You guys know I interviewed Coach Poole not too long ago. And one of the things he kind of talked about is that gelling. I think people fail to understand not only is it a new sport, it's a newer team. I think he told me he only brought 5 players here from last season's roster. So that's a lot of different to learn each other, to learn the system.
And to trust the system. I think that's a whole nother thing.
I feel you.
We trust the system.
Message.
Trust the system.
So speaking of momentum, you guys are about to do something that I like to call legendary and participate in a Fiesta Bowl flag, I want to say playoffs. This is the first time they've had this type of tournament in the flag realm. It's going to be great. First of all, it's in Tempe, Arizona, April 18th through 19th. Of course, Jazz going to be out there busting heads, being Debo Samuel / Devontae Smith, and I'll be out there documenting every part of it. But what do you guys, and I'm using you to speak for the team, whatever happened this season don't matter when you go out there. So what is the message to build, to cultivate, right? Trust the system. So when you go to Arizona, y'all that number 1 team coming out with the championship.
I think we want to show teams that the games that we play and the games that didn't come out how we expected it doesn't define us as a team. You can turn your season around by the snap of your fingers. And so I think just coming out there, being playmakers again, doing our job and showing teams that, it was a fluke. was a fluke.
We call it practice.
It was a practice.
But hey, I say, y'all talking about practice?
Yes, practice. Practice. But being on a big stage, big platform like that, I know the first and foremost thing I would want to do too is to, share the word of God.
Amen.
I feel like we wouldn't be here without him. We wouldn't be playing the sport that we love without him. So just being on that platform, that's the first and foremost thing I want to, praise Lord, because
Amen. So it's not a huge roster of teams, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it is very much an honor and God sent to be one of the teams designated on there. I feel you.
Man, it's an honor.
Well, I am very excited that we had the wonderful Miss Jasmine Dunn come in today and speak with us. I'm excited for the last 2 games. I'm even more excited for the tournament because all I see is, in my Jameis Winston voice, W, and W. So we're going to get the dubs. And again, thank you, Jasmine. Is there anything you want to let the viewers know before we dip out of here today?
God bless.
Amen. Amen.